first team, the Bulldogs. So this is for the segue was I tried it there. Look, let's quickly look at the gains and the losses. I mean, quickly. Probably take me about half an hour to just read these names out. So you could see for those YouTube viewers, and special shouts to you guys. The page is actually growing quite rapidly over on YouTube. So I really appreciate everyone there liking, subscribing the videos. So obviously the main attraction, Stephen Crichton, and the late recruiting Josh Curran are probably the two I'm most excited about, if I'm being honest. I think Connor Tracy's a pretty good signing from the Sharkies as well. And then there's a whole heap of 14s that we've all seen. Drew Hutchinson, you've got your Kurt Manns, Jamin Salmon, Blake Taff. The list goes on. Jake Turpin, getting a bit tired reading all these names out. Then obviously the big talking point, Bronson Xerri has come back into the league after I think it was a 4-year ban he got. So this is his first year back from it. He is looking quite big. If that equates to rugby league fitness, I'm not too sure. But boys, just in that gains column there, anyone that really sticks out apart from the obvious Stephen Crichton?
Josh Curran. I think that's such a good pickup. He was heart and soul when he plays, so it'd be good to see him have a go in there. I think Kurt Mann's a bigger loss than people are making it out to be. He played quite some pivotal roles and across many positions, so he can fit in absolutely anywhere. And I was a bit upset when I heard that he was leaving, especially to go to the Bulldogs. But Bronson Xerri, I think that's going to be the story of the year, to see what he does, where he actually fits in, if he gets any games. Did you see when he was during his ban, he wasn't even allowed to play OzTag. They were that strict on him that he was not even allowed to play social OzTag. So this guy's looking, chomping at the bit. I'm surprised he's actually made his way back. So full credit to him. That's a long time to be out of the game and then make it back and then get picked up by an NRL club. So that's pretty cool.
It doesn't mean he's going to be any good.
Not the getting banned. That's not the cool part, obviously.
Yeah. It doesn't mean he's going to be any good. Like, it's a big risk to take from the Bulldogs. And you look at some of these signings and they scream of desperation. Like, we know they've been looking for half for quite a while. Like, look, Burton's not a halfback. And you turn around and look at all these players that they have signed, and the joke's about 14. So you've got, Hutchison that can play 6 or 7 or 3. You've got Kurt Mann that can play 9, 6, 7, fullback lock. Jamin Salmon's a half, second rower. Tracy can play in halves. Blake Taft's a half. Turpin's a hooker. Like, some of the signings they made, they just make zero sense, and they're chewing up valuable cap space for a team that was meant to be under pressure for salary cap stuff last year. And I know they've obviously lost when you look at the loss, but when you look at those losses over there, there's not a lot of money. I think Tavita Pangai Jr. would have been on a lot of money. We haven't got to them yet, but just what they've signed, they've got two good signings in my opinion. They've got Stephen Crichton, obviously he's going to be good if he can play fullback. And they've got Josh Curran, who I've rated for quite a while, actually. I was kind of devastated in kind of my team when he was leaving the Warriors. But besides that, they've got, I'll say it, a lot of fringe reserve graders, not stars of the teams they come from. And a bloke that's been out for 4 years who's played, as Jeremy said, not even OzTag, he hasn't played any sport. All he's done is post on social media his gym routines. And I'll tell you this much, he hasn't been off the roids that whole time because he didn't have to get tested until he come back. He hasn't lost any size from what he put on. So
he looks quite big, doesn't he?
It's going to be interesting how his body develops in the next, obviously he started pre-season now and he's getting tested now and stuff, but in the next 3-4 months, how his body actually holds up to the conditioning of rugby league, because he could flop, massively could flop. We've seen, not so much for the same things, but we've seen players go away on, their Mormon missions and stuff like that and not come back the same players. Like, anyone that spends time out the game. So who says a bloke that's had to change his lifestyle completely is going to be any good?
Yeah, no, I agree with that. And quickly, just a special shout out to Zero Tackle once again for helping us out with some of the lists here. You can see in some of the graphics. So you can see down the bottom, once again, YouTube, the re-signed and the off-contract for 2024. Thanks to our lovely producer, Jez. So he's put this masterpiece together for you guys to all witness.
I'm a bit annoyed
tonight.
because the font has gone longer. It doesn't do it on the other slides, but hey, what do you want from me, all right? I'm on holidays.
The losses, Adam did mention it. Adam, do you want to run through? You did start to talk about the losses.
I want to run through them.
Yeah,
sure, why not? I'll run through the Bulldogs.
Give me a break.
No, you know how bad I'm with names. So Paul Alamotti off to Penrith, Jake Averillo on the Dolphins, Camille Brown Hull, Brendan Clark released, Andrew Davey obviously was there at the start. He went to Parramatta, then retired. Kyle Flanagan, Dragons. Michael Gabriel, Sharks. Jaden Ockenbaugh, Hull. Tavita Pengai Jr. retired / boxing / we'll see him at Brisbane halfway through the year. Frank Pele, Hull. Josh Reynolds retired. Luke Thompson, Wigan. And Corey Waddell's gone to Manly. So
there's a couple of gone to Super League, Adam.
There is. It's where they belong. But I want to touch on one in Luke Thompson, who doesn't belong there. We never saw the best of Luke Thompson. And
no, we didn't.
Kind of disappointed. They obviously brought him on a lot of money over, but I would have loved to see him at one of the bigger teams, one of the more successful clubs with better players around. Because let's be honest, the Bulldogs have been nothing but trash for the last few years. And rebuilding, we'll call it. And this is how you rebuild. The only difference they've done between Parramatta and the Bulldogs rebuilding is these losses, players, weren't put up on a big screen to the players and said, you're not here next year. But look, Luke Thompson, he's a huge loss compared to what he could have offered. Besides that, like, obviously the two young centres, it's strange what they've signed and what they've lost there. Like, you know, Crichton's apparently going to play fullback. And who else was the other centre signed? Connor Tracy can play in the centre. You think he plays centres. But both of these centres were probably their best up-and-coming players last year. So the fact they've let them go because they've demanded more money shows the salary cap squeeze they're meant to be under. And you look at the players obviously signed, I don't think a lot of them be on massive money because there's quite a few looking for opportunities there. But like I said, they haven't lost a lot. But I think, yeah, probably those two centres and obviously the experience there of Thompson as well.
I'm shocked that they actually let go of Jake Averillo. I think he's got class written all over him. I think we're going to see that this year at the Dolphins. And not just that, but off the field, he seems like a really good guy as well. Like, he's not one of those troublemakers and the like. So it's a head-scratching one because all the talk at the Bulldogs is about the culture and things like that and getting people to buy in and stuff. So maybe did something happen behind the scenes with him? I'm not too sure, but he just doesn't feel like that sort of player. Doesn't seem like that sort of player that would sort of kick up stones and the like. And Wayne Bennett won't be copping that either. So
I was going to say it'll be interesting to see him under Wayne Bennett. I think Wayne might get the best out of him.
Let's not forget he's going to be playing in the centres probably with Herbie Farnworth as well. So quite an exciting centre combination, obviously, out there with the Dolphins when we get to that team.
Fins up. What are we doing our ratings here, boys? Out of 10 for the Dogs, I've got a 6. Lots of names for both columns, but as you've already both said, it doesn't really excite me, a lot of those players. I think Crichton and Curran are obviously the standouts, and I do think Tracy in a certain extent, but I still think there's some gaping holes that they need to fix that they haven't done so yet.
Yeah, I'll go next. I'll give him a 4.5. I think if Stephen Crichton wasn't there, it's probably about a 2, to be honest. Obviously, you know, the ability of play he can be, but just compared to the big ones they've lost and what they've brought in. And I guess the other big name signing there is Curran, who has a history of judiciary problems and head knocks. So there really isn't too much promise there for the Bulldogs. They've been trying to buy a comp for a few years now.
Yeah, I've gone a 5 for my rating just because the amount of 14s that they've signed, and we've all touched on it. We're excited to see what Crichton can do if he's playing at fullback. I like Curran, but as Adam touched on, he's going to spend most of that on the sideline, unfortunately, through either injury or suspension. So, yeah, too many 14s for my liking when they've lost positions across the board. So, giving them a 5. Where do we think they're going to finish? Are we doing that?
Oh, yeah, we are. I'm doing that at the end.
Like
so I thought the bracket. I don't want us to spoil our table episode where we do go through our individual tables. So I just want the brackets, which we will get to. But any positives that we can see from the Dogs, I've gone. Obviously, I think there is at least a bit of depth there now for the Bulldogs. We've seen last year, as soon as they lost a couple of their first graders, it basically went to a very low level. So at least this year with some of these 14 players, they cover positions, so they can at least be competitive in a way. And I guess recruiting players, when you look at some of the names there, like the Roosters, Panthers, the Knights, the Sharks, they're all coming off sort of seasons that have been quite successful, and the Warriors as well. So they are recruiting players that have been into that winning culture. So they're bringing that over to the Bulldogs. They might not have been stars at their respective teams, but at least they know what it takes to get to that level.
Yep. Yeah, I agree with all of that.
I can't think
much
of
else
too
is
many
there.
positives besides what you've mentioned. The interesting thing I'm trying to weigh up here is who's going to get the 7 jersey at the end of the year to take home on presentation night, because they've been searching for a 7 for quite a while, and there's a few options there. I think we could see about 4 or 5 halfbacks throughout the year for the Bulldogs.
I think that's a
It'll
good
be
talking point,
same
because
old,
I think
same old.
we
They tend
agree.
to rotate through their playmakers every
They might
season.
bring in,
So,
they might bring in the Cricket Australia rotation policy.
oh yeah, give them a rest.
Give
Too
them a
much
rest. They won't
loading.
be dropped. They'll be rested.
Yeah.
Well, there's been early rumours about Burton being a centre as well, but I don't know where that's gotten to, because they haven't really recruited a standout number 7. Like, they've obviously got Sexton there at the club. They recruited last year. But apart from that, I'm not too sure, because I think, as Adam already said, I don't think he's a 7. I don't even think Burton should be in the
And
halves, to be honest. He should
he's
be a
off
centre.
contract at the end of this year.
Burton?
Sexton.
Oh, Sexton, yes. Yeah.
Yeah, they signed him a 1.5 year deal, I believe.
So we'll see how he goes this year and if he gets another contract.
Any concerns, boys?
I'm not a Bulldogs fan, but
It's just the Bulldogs.
It's just the Bulldogs being the Bulldogs. Like I said, they've tried to sign a comp for the last few years, and it's kind of ironic that, trying to be careful how I word this, but the head of recruitment at the Bulldogs now was the head of recruitment when Parramatta did the same thing. And it's just desperation. They're desperate for a good year. They're a proud club with a good history, but they've gone about this a complete wrong way. Like, you know, if I was a Bulldogs recruitment or a Bulldogs fan, there's more players on the losses list I'd be wanting to keep than there is on the gains list that they've got.
Yep. No, I agree with that one. So let's do our finishing position. So in the brackets, so 1 to 4, 5 to 8, 9 to 12, and then 13 to 17 are the brackets. Jez, start with you.
13 to 17.
Adam?
I know you don't want me to give an exact number, but I've just got to. And it's 14. The magic number is 14 for the Bulldogs this year.
Mate, I don't. Can you not go against me? Otherwise, you'll be the one removed from the group. Thank you.
It has to be, because there's been all the talk about their 14s. They've got to finish 14th, don't they?
Yeah. You're floating with danger. He hasn't brought his equipment, as you can see. He's very almost naked, basically, on this video. So, and now he's disobeying some orders. So, I've got 13th to 17th as well. I know a lot of Dogs fans are probably starting to get excited, but there's still so much missing. And an area of concern for myself was just the middle forwards as well. I still feel like they're at least 2 decent middle forwards short of being able to really cement some field position and actually put pressure on sides consistently throughout a game. So